Subscribe to this and other shows on acute.co.ke. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and other online podcast platforms.
Welcome everybody. Episode gani?
8.
Wow. 8 episodes down the line. This has been amazing, manze. Proactive is the name of the show on Acute Media. Acute with a Q, by the way, not with a C. Hi Elsie, how you doing?
I'm good.
How's your week been?
My week has been beautiful, I could say.
Eh.
I mean, I've not done anything out of the ordinary other than going to the gym, but I really love the weather this week. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You just decided to throw those bombs into the whole episode, Leo. You've been going to the gym. The weather has been amazing for our international market. Who doesn't know that the sun is back out, you know? Aish. But it's good to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, this is that part penye na kugrillingi.
Yes. Go ahead.
I like the sound of that. Umesikiza Lost Frequencies?
No, sijasikiza Lost Frequencies, but you can probably tell me what it's all about, then I'll think about listening to
Leo
it.
sitadanganya, hata mimi sikuwa nimesikiza Lost Frequencies na nasikia ni it's like one of the most amazing places to get good music. My producer decided to say good curated music.
What type of music?
Like playlists nasikia anaweza katengeneza kitu yoyote. Yeah, you know, I mean, and he's called Byron Rose, the host. Hadi afanyaga my interviews.
Oh, Byron Rose.
Manze ukishakuwa na jina kaa hiyo, unajua mse venye anakaa. Sisi watu wa sura personal tunajua tu pali. Hata tujaweka sura zetu kwa poster, unajua kwa sababu tunajua sura zetu venye ni personal. Yeah, but Lost Frequencies, it's an amazing one. I mean, we need to go listen to that playlist. By the time we're coming back to episode 9, we need to tell people which is the best playlist out of it all. Sindio?
Yeah.
Byron, you're doing an amazing job. We are sorry hatujasikiza, but we are making sure kila mtu anasikiza Lost Frequencies kutoka hii wiki. By the time we're coming to episode 9, Lost Frequencies will be the one place to go for any playlist that we need when it comes to good music. So yeah, ya leo ikuwa ya kukugrill, tulikuwa tuna accept makosa zetu. Tumekuwa tukisenta sana on different episodes, tunakosa kusikiza zingine. Gonna work on that. It's been an amazing week. We're celebrating 10 years
10 years of the Constitution of
promulgation.
Kenya.
We have to verify and say that it is the promulgation
Yeah.
of the Constitution. It did not come into...
Yeah, I just realized there's a difference between entry into force and promulgation. So it has been in force since 2013.
2013, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was promulgated
On 27th August 2010.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Milestones, manze.
That's an achievement. Our own constitution.
But
The
we have
constitution that we wanted, not the constitution that we inherited from the colonialists.
Oh man, wacha tu yaliondoele.
Yaliyopita.
Yaliondoele sipite. I don't But we're here 10 years into it. How do you feel about it? I feel like we're still children, yani, still trying to figure out a lot of things.
Well, it's an achievement. It is an achievement, you know, for us to actually have a constitution that is actually operational and we can see it working. We can see the Senate today, I think they were meeting to discuss the revenue division formula. We see the evolution. We see, you know, governors being held accountable. I think yesterday there was a case about a governor. Point is, I can see the fruits of this constitution working, and I'm happy. I'm really glad about it, and I'm hopeful. However, it's still not a perfect constitution. It still has some shortcomings, which are not entirely its fault. Yeah, it is the fault of some of the bodies established by the constitution that are failing. For example, we have Article 43. I think I may have discussed this in one of the previous episodes. We can't see Article 43 working anywhere. You know, the right to the highest attainable standard of healthcare, you know, anywhere and for everyone. We cannot see that. Article 10 of the Constitution, particularly on the rule of law. The rule of law keeps on getting trampled on every single day. Yeah. The current regime is every day we hear criticisms directed towards the current regime for its failure to uphold, to defend the constitution, the same constitution that they want to amend. Imagine.
I'm glad that you
Chapter
actually
6.
know. You actually know stuff about it. I mean, for me, I was just saying that we're still kids because we haven't learned a lot about the constitution itself. Like, people can't actually quote whatever you're quoting now.
It could be that I'm quoting all these things because now I interact with the constitution as a student of law, but the person who's not a student of law, the person who's not a lawyer, does not exactly interact with the constitution
and doesn't even know what needs to be amended, what is actually their rights. I mean, you're talking about all these chapters, but they don't even know that this is something that they should fight for themselves and not just lawyers. Because it is our constitution. I mean, the very first words of this constitution are, we the people of Kenya. We
not
queued for
we
it.
The lawyers of Kenya, not we the law students of Kenya. We the people, regardless of your background, regardless of what you're doing. It is our constitution.
All right, quick question before we get into the pillar for today, because I don't even want to preempt it yani hapa before we anze kuongea about it. What do you feel like should be done for the next 10 years of this constitution? Well, we're talking about from the promulgation, but what would you love to see in the next 10 years to come? I
would love to see the implementation of the 2/3 gender rule, which is also complicated. I'm not an expert. I still don't know how we can enforce it, but because it has become quite difficult to enforce it, especially for elective positions. Again, in a democratic society, you cannot force people to elect a woman. You cannot decide that only women will only have women on the ballot paper. But still, we have to find a way of enforcing, even if it is through the appointive. Is appointive an English word?
When the lawyer, unajua saa zingine mnatoaga majina zingine, I just accept because
so those positions of appointment, perhaps you can try to enforce it there. The other thing I'm really looking forward to is the operationalization of Article 204 of the Constitution. That is the Equalization Fund. Again, if this fund
really
was active,
with this equalization
fund was active, the Senate will not be in the deadlock situation that characterizes it right now.
All right. I hear you. You know what I really want to happen in the next 10 years? People to actually care about the Constitution. People to actually own the Constitution. Just know that it is theirs and it's not just LSK who actually should be concerned with it. That's where I see myself like 10 years. Is it something that can be integrated slowly even in our education system?
It can, sure.
Some core pillars that kids can actually take in their civics classes. Squeeze in it was social studies.
GHCs.
Like what we're GHC, we're in trouble. But something that can actually be integrated slowly and taken into consideration for the next 10 years, that when these kids actually leave a point where they have done the 8 and 4 years of primary and high school, they actually care about the Constitution. But that's aside, hiyo tumeipatia enough time. Shout out to the Constitution. If it was a human being, I would have said
it is not a human being. However, in law we say that the Constitution is a living document. It even has a spirit. The spirit and the letter of the Constitution. This is a living document. So of course it doesn't have a gender, but happy anniversary to the living document that belongs to us.
If you were in a physical human nature, would have given you a high five for getting this far. You really tried, and we hope we do a lot more in another 10 years to come. But that aside, this one is a big one, manze. I have tried even to just beat around the bush to figure out how we're going to tackle it. But we have to.
And before you even introduce it, I think we discussed this topic briefly during episode 6. Yes, we did. When I called it a lion, then you called it a plague.
It is
a plague.
It's a plague,
not a lion.
I don't feel like it's a lion. A lion is too small, can be hunted down and just be killed by a spear. We're going through a virus right now.
A virus,
trying to...
By the way, virus sounds more...
I mean, even the Black Plague was a virus.
Okay.
I mean, it turned into a plague because it killed a lot of people. That's why I call it a plague, because it's destroying a lot of people.
A lot of people at different levels. in
So that's why
different corners of Kenya.
it can't be a lion, it can't be an elephant, it's a plague.
I see.
You see why I was saying that?
I see. Because a lion can only be at one place at one time and affect just a small area, but a plague can affect an entire country,
which is actually doing.
Yeah.
So okay, tumeshugarcoat kitu for long,
but it's corruption.
Definitely
it's corruption.
I mean, we couldn't have been talking about anything else.
Yeah. BBI on corruption.
Imagine
that's
saying
today's
something
pillar.
Different, alafu tuseme ati tulikuwa tunaongea juu ya the state of matatus.
Come on, what's that? Sasa hiyo ndio lion.
Yeah, corruption. We really are, we have to try our best today not to go outside the lines of what this report says, because I know this one is an emotional conversation.
Very much so. And it is so broad, so wide.
Yeah.
That, the best thing we can do at the moment is just confine ourselves to what the BBI is discussing.
And the changes that these people are saying.
Yeah.
To what they'll do to make sure that corruption in itself will be something of the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see they've talked a lot of it, like made a lot of noise when they're talking about the problems, talking about cartels,
existence of cartels.
I'm not about to get into that. If you don't show me the specific cartel, I'm not gonna do that.
Do you think we can actually come out and say there's cartel A, cartel B, cartel A is in charge of this, cartel B manages this,
that's my
and
biggest
that
problem.
cartel C affects
procurement? Hata Ocampo aliambiwa fungua bahasha, si ukitutishia hapa na bahasha, si ndio? Na akafungua bahasha.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not about to get into this whole idea of deep state cartels na hamtuambi ni nani. Unawajua lakini usemi ni nani. Sasa unatusaidiaje? Si unyamaze basi.
Sasa that's how corruption cases
we kama mtu amevunja sahani kwa nyumba alafu unasema unajua ni nani na utamsema.
What's the point of even telling us about
sahani ilivunjika? Si wachane na.
Yeah, and that's what we even get to hear from the news, that this case is associated with a politician, a senior politician, and that's it. So who's the senior politician?
But they never tell us who it is. And we're like, shut up. If you're not going to tell us,
companies associated with politician, a certain politician,
person
like,
X, person Y. Wacha kutusumbua. You're not helping us. It's just going around telling us there's muddy water, there's a dump site near our house, but you don't want to tell us who dumped the whole trash.
Let's get into what the BBI says, because you will notice that they've touched on that thing of people shying away from mentioning the names of politicians, because they're afraid of the defamation, of being sued for defamation.
Yeah,
the BBI discusses something on
I was a bit frustrated
Anti-Defamation Act.
When they mentioned the problems that we have in terms of corruption. I was a bit offended with what they were saying. There was nothing like new to what they were saying. I mean, how many presidents have come and given firm directives every time? We've
had 4 presidents,
and all of them have on the 4th been given firm directives in terms to corruption. There's never been anything new. So when they were talking about the problems, me nilikuwa hapo like, tell me something new, but let's go direct to the recommendations, because if we start tackling the problems, tutaanza hata kulalamika hata sisi na tutasahau
cartels. They've really discussed the cartels.
It's actually number 1,
no one
on their recommendations for so let me read. I'm not even gonna do their press release when they talked about corruption. That was just a scam, a waste of time. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but I don't feel like you are ready to tackle this issue. You're just playing around with our minds. So recommendation number 139 of the BBI report, in bold, kwanza wali make sure iko in bold, wakasema
free Kenya from
cartel
capture. Meaning there are cartels that exist,
that we are captured by cartels, that you are not going to tell us who are these cartels. Tuanze hapo.
Sasa hapo tutajuaje who are the cartels?
My problem. Unajua cartel?
Well, nimewasikia, but sasa sijui.
You have names?
I have names, but as the ordinary Kenyan I am, I wouldn't be open enough or bold enough to say person A and person
so
B.
I'm the one who's been blind on this one. Let me see. My producer, do you know any cartel?
Tunawasikia.
Hata yeye amenipatia ile smile. I know someone.
Go to Twitter, check out Tony, somebody known as Tony Gachoka. Is it Gashoka?
Oh, are you going to listen to that guy?
Well, niliona he was calling out some cartel.
Okay.
Yeah. So if he speaks, then he knows why he's
for sure. My
speaking,
problem has always been, I'm not trying to like bring it down and say there are no cartels, but there's no one ever verifying all these things. Every time someone speaks up, it's more or less propaganda.
It looks like a rumor,
inakaa tu,
a strategy, a political strategy.
which I am not. I'll never advocate for strategies like, and anyone will tackle it and debunk it and make it sound like hata alikuwa tu anajibamba. Hizo sinaga. But they have tried to, let's read, because they have tried their best to try and show us that the perception of a rigged economy is one of the greatest. They agree it's a perception. Of a rigged economy is one of the greatest risks to secure, stable, and a united Kenya. It serves as a major incentive for the utilization of divisive ethnic politics. So they agree on number one, it's a perception. It is not completely the truth, it's just like a perception that is there. And they now start with what they'll do. Undertake a rigorous intelligence-led review of the hold of cartels in crucial aspects of the economy and the public systems.
Budgeting, procurement, regulation, and the rigging.
When was the first time you heard this word cartel?
My telenovelas, drug cartels.
Okay. Surely, so say imetoka.
So see, you asking the first time I heard the word cartel. To me, I knew about cartels
in this
because
system of
in
leadership
Kenya,
in Kenya. When was the first time you heard about cartels?
when I was young. When I was young, yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I just knew that, politics has, there are people, there are cartels behind politics. In fact, that the cartels are not the ones, the people that we see on the media, the people we see on the ballot papers, those people are mere puppets for the cartels.
So you believe that there are actually systems in this country that are run by
yes,
people
it is possible.
Play a background.
Yeah. So, and I believe that's what now today is trending in Kenya as deep state. Deep state.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other word for cartels.
Always borrowing stuff from the West,
Yeah.
Trump comes up in the morning, decides we'll follow this QAnon guys and decides tutaanza kuitana deep state hapa. Kenya picks up deep state and we are ready to go with it, run with the thing like it's our own and it's not. Do you feel like they have a hold of the structures that are there?
Yes, they do.
Do they dictate even who people choose?
Yes, they do. They dictate, and they have smart ways of deciding so and so will get into an elective office.
Here's my problem with that conversation. Ukienda kuvote ulikuwa umepatana na cartel?
Hapana. See, they just find a way to sway or to influence our thinking, and to tell us that, so and so is the best candidate, and that's why we've given so and so this ticket. Because again, remember we mentioned this, Timo, I think last episode. We mentioned that there are areas, ukiwa na ticket ya a certain party, you're gonna get it.
But that's the thing. So it's basically a psychological warfare, sindio?
Yeah.
Of which we have allowed to be swayed from a psychological point. No one came...
And they do it so easily. They use the media.
But listen, Elsie, no one came and held a gun to your head and told you to vote for a specific person.
Yeah, but
right?
Somebody came and told me and convinced me that this is the best candidate.
I feel like this whole idea of deep state and cartels is just some spooky stuff that is being spread out just to show how ignorant we are as Kenyans.
Well, as spooky as it is something that actually works. Now, I don't advocate for it, but it's a fact.
Do you feel
it's around us?
It's a fact. It's around us. I agree, but I say the problem is not these people, because I don't believe these people are there. I feel like someone can play a psychological warfare and show you that it is actually happening, but in real sense, these people are not there. And this is why I say, remember what Cambridge did last time when it came to the conversation in terms of elections. They fed like a fake,
the Cambridge Analytica or whatever.
Cambridge. Fake message spread across the world. And even when they were exposed, you could see that they worked in different countries, working out something, spreading a fake message, making it sound like it's the truth. But the ignorance of people believed it.
Yeah.
No one went and researched and found out. And that's why I'm saying, even now, when you keep saying that kokona cartels,
there's a deep state.
There's a deep state.
Deep state
if you
wants
don't
peace.
give us names, and we research and we get the statistics and we get the evidence of this, we shouldn't spread it, because right now it is more of a rumor than fact.
I still disagree.
For sure.
It is a fact that these people exist. We have a deep state somewhere.
Do you know them by
that
name?
calls the shots?
Do you know them by name?
I do not know them by name. If I was to say that I know them, then I'd be spreading rumors,
If
because
they're
it's not proven. It is not proven.
Do you know how they do
However,
it?
No, I don't know how they do it. I don't even know where they meet, when they meet.
But you believe
But
they're there.
Yes, I believe they're there because there are people.
Then deep state should be a religion, manze.
The ones we see at the forefront are the people who actually tell us that there's a deep state that exists.
So one person stands at the front and tells you.
Recently, the deputy president spoke up and out against the deep state. So if someone like that can tell us that there's a deep state, who am I to doubt?
It's the same thing.
Who am I to
Everyone will look
doubt?
at us for information, right? So if we wake up in the morning, same thing QAnon are doing right now. We go and say, Ruto has been thriving right now because he's been sacrificing babies and drinking their blood. And we spread that information as the truth. Right?
Yeah.
Because people follow us, they will believe what we're saying.
Yeah, and it could be false.
And it could be false. But we never presented these people with facts. We gave them what we believed was our truth. Right?
Yeah.
And because they follow us, they agreed to it. And next thing we know, everyone believes Ruto is drinking an infant blood to gain his power. You see what I'm trying to say? Information.
So that is how politics works, apparently. That they
Exactly.
manipulate information, and
Sasa tunaenda
now the
mahali.
information that they want to spread, is ready to be received by our ignorant
Tulikuwa
minds.
tumedigress sana, saa turudi hapo, ndio najaribu kusema
okay.
wakitengeneza history ya cartel.
Fine, nimeshika
Unajua
rada.
kuna kajina kanaka kakitajwa, lakini hawatupatii facts kwa ground. Na hiyo ndio shida yangu na hii pila yote, cause wame make sure wameitackle kutoka sijui 139 iko na part A mpaka sijui G, part G, tackling cartels, but don't want to mention these cartels. If you're gonna do this, you already know that they are there. Do us a better. Instead of telling us you'll solve it with this report, hand us over the cartels. Let's see them. Let's know them. Give us facts.
Give us the names. And then once you give the name, defamation.
No. It's
Yeah?
never going to be
If
defamation.
it's the media, if it's a media
No
house
one
that...
has
Let me
accused
tell
anyone.
you, we have seen instances where, the media comes out boldly and calls out a name, and the next thing we know, its license has been revoked.
But then I tell
Next thing we know, the media house is in
you, I
court.
agree with you.
Those are the things we try to avoid, so we'd rather not mention the names despite knowing the names.
Elsie,
Kwanza media, I believe they know a lot.
when
Wananyamaza
you
tu.
advocate kabisa, na unajua defamation can only be defamation if what?
If the information is false.
Thank you.
And then it's a task to prove that the information is true.
And that's what I'm trying to say. If these people have gotten to this point that they're calling out cartels, then they should come with hard evidence such that it cannot be called defamation. All right? It has to be truth.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have with this first conversation that they're talking about in terms of recommendations. If you're going to say they're cartels, you already know them. Go give us hard facts before you come out here and say that they're cartels. And then we'll work with you to make sure that this.
But do you think the report will actually tell us, we know the existence of cartel?
You have been advocating for this
cas-
report and you have said it several times. Experts sat down. So these experts sat down and believed that they are cartels without hard facts. What kind of experts are they?
Probably they had the names of the cartels, but there was no way they would publish that.
That's fine. But they went ahead and wrote it down as a recommendation instead of it being taken into action immediately. So it is lingering now, continuing until we pass this report is when they will now start working on these people. Don't you feel like offended when they say that? Kuna mtu amevunja sahani kwa nyumba
They were
yenyu.
merely experts.
Mpaka mnikubalishe mimi nikwe mwenye nitawapunish ndio nitawaambia ni nani.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't,
It
for
doesn't
sure.
make-
They go down and continue all the way telling us how they will punish, how they'll use sting operations. Kwani hawafai kuwa wanafanya hiki tu sahi?
Yeah, I saw that anti-corruption sting campaign that targets lawyers, judges, and legislators, especially in cases that are difficult to prosecute due to the evidential component. Evidence. Before you call out, LC, you are a cartel, you're part of the deep state. Where is the proof?
Where's
the evidence?
That's been my biggest fight with the number one recommendation. Recommendation number 139 is hogwash. Stop wasting our time. You should be doing it as a leader right now. It's not a recommendation that the report will bring a difference. Right?
What about the money laundering recommendation?
I think that was tackled already with the introduction of the new currency, right? To some extent, it is ideas, isn't it?
To some extent, and we've already seen it working. Recently, I think Family Bank had to get into a plea bargaining agreement with the office of the DPP.
Kuna 7 billion mahali liweza kurecoveriwa.
So they're trying.
I'm happy when you're doing stuff instead of...
Oh yeah, baby, I get the difference.
Exactly.
So for the cartels, it's just imeandikwa tu. Nothing. But you see this other recommendation about the bank.
Something
it's
is
actually
happening.
Working.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's been my biggest problem. Do we continue with the other pillars ama tukwambia hapo? Unajua
no let's go on discussing the other recommendation. I can see one, incentives for whistleblowing. That's the part G. And they're still under recommendation 139.
Yeah.
So 5%. Consider offering 5% share of proceeds recovered from the anti-corruption prosecutions or actions to the whistleblower whose information is necessary to the success of the asset seizure. So now, whistleblowers, do you think as a whistleblower you'd be safe? It's actually risky to become a whistleblower.
For sure.
I really respect people who... The one I particularly respect currently, I don't even know his name, but it's this accountant from the Masai Mara University.
Yeah.
Hey, that one.
Did a good job.
He did a good job, but now, even as I commend him, even as I celebrate him, I still think, at the back of my mind, I'm even thinking, does he ever sleep with his 2 eyes closed?
You see, that's the thing. The reason why, for me,
a whistleblower safe.
When you become a whistleblower, it's never about the incentive. It's never about whether you're safe. You're doing it as a patriotic act.
Yeah.
Because for sure, you're checking how things are and how your country will be destroyed if they continue doing such a thing. And this guy was able to see this university will be in shambles.
Yeah.
And he saw the need for the students to thrive in a system. So you putting 5% as an incentive, you're just creating bounty hunters out there, of which we already have investigative departments in the government who are supposed to be doing this job,
Yeah.
Whistleblowing should be a patriotic act. You should love this country to that extent that you wouldn't allow such a thing to continue.
And you wouldn't mind coming forward to condemn corruption, to criticize corruption, to tell us the names of the cartel, to tell us, this is what is actually happening in this institution.
Exactly, because when you see it as a plague and you see how it will destroy your generations to come, you will be the first one to actually call it out,
Yeah.
And it will happen even from grassroots, like uko chini kabisa. Pali mtu atakuwa anasema kitu na kama amefanya vibaya, you'll be the first one to call them out. And if they even try, like grease your hands so that you keep quiet, you won't allow it. You'll even raise your voice higher.
Yeah.
But
like I mentioned earlier when we were having the discussion over them, it requires intentionality.
Exactly.
You have to be intentional.
You have to love your country.
And also love yourself and your family, because sometimes you imagine that, you can be the whistleblower, but at the expense of the life of your child, at the expense of the comfort of your family.
See, that's the thing.
You will lose your job.
Right now, it's already been faced as a point of where you'll not be safe. That's always the first conversation of whistleblowing.
Yeah.
But no one ever sees the repercussions of what happens if you allow it to continue. It's like not calling out a rapist just because you feel like he might come at you and your family, and not forgetting the fact that he will continue raping other people.
Yeah. You
see what I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're saying.
You see the bigger picture of this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to put my family at risk. and try to, but I am seeing at a larger extent what would happen if I allow this corruption to continue. And that's the biggest problem. You mentioned that we had a big conversation out there. I mean, I'm trying to avoid the whole conversation that we had because it made us see that we need to tackle corruption on its own aside from the BBI.
Ground up.
Yeah, because it starts from the ground up, basic family level. You get? And as we work our way up, we've seen that we like the recommendations here don't make sense for us. Okay, rather for me right now, because it's clearly that people don't even know who to report to, who to question, how to go about things.
Yeah.
So people are really misinformed, and that's why someone will wake up in the morning, call us some experts to come and give us recommendations, and the first thing they recommend in terms of corruptions is cartels. Not to waste your time.
Tell us who those cartels are.
Unanipata.
Start acting on it.
Start acting on it.
Set an example.
You shouldn't be giving us if you bridge if this bridge is built and now everyone is there, that's when we'll tackle these things.
Yeah.
Those people, Durakus did not turn up to wait for you to build a bridge. Right?
Yeah.
The Kumera second round didn't happen for you to build a bridge. And so all those people did not turn up for you to tell them that you'll wait for at some different point to start working on these things.
Wait for a report to be passed so that you start acting.
You're
No.
just
doesn't
telling
make
us that
sense.
you're not working. I like that I'm getting you to that point now. You're really frustrated now. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been feeling about these things. The 139, hogwash. Scrap it off. It's a waste of our time. We don't even need it.
What about F, 139F? In addition to any custodial sentence of those found guilty of economic crimes, include punitive fines with the proceeds being used to assist vulnerable Kenyans.
So anytime someone steals,
So other than imprisonment, because that is what we mean by custodial sentence, also someone who's found guilty of an economic crime, that is corruption, should actually share the proceeds of the crime with the government for the benefit of vulnerable Kenyans.
But you see,
so what happens currently? Yesterday, the court ruled that the Ngiritas that the court should seize the assets that which are, of course, proceeds of the crime that the Ngiritas are believed to have are alleged to have committed during the NYS2 scandal. So now, where do those proceeds go to? I really don't know. I really don't know.
Look,
I'm using alleged because
I see where you're
I
going
still
with
believe
that.
the presumption of innocence lies in their favor. But that case aside, what I mean is what happened yesterday, the ruling that the court delivered yesterday, that is what their proposal F, this 139F is talking about, that the proceeds of such crimes should now go to the benefit of vulnerable Kenyans.
But don't you feel any asset or anything that has been reclaimed during that time was meant for someone?
For the Kenyans? For the Kenyans?
Yeah, for sure, for Kenyans.
Yeah.
But someone was supposed to take due process, be awarded the tender, for example, in terms of an economic crime, be awarded the tender, supply, this person worked for it, and someone came and used a loophole. I mean, I don't disagree with the recommendation as they put it. Maybe I have an issue with it from the point of, they're talking from where this will continue, but wakishikwa, tutakuwa tunachukua hiyo kitu tunapatia a bit wenye wako vulnerable. Si usaidie wenye wako vulnerable already. Unangoja pesa ya corruption ndio wasaidie. You see what I'm doing
here? I see your point.
Number 2, you're telling us itakuwa happen. And every time itakuwa ina happen, hautuambii venye hautuambii venye utakuwa unafanya hii kitu isikuwe ina happen. Unatuambia iki happen venye nitakuwa nafanya. I'm not ready to have that conversation ya iki happen venye utakuwa nafanya. Kama hujaniambia originally venye utakuwa una prevent from happening. And that's why I have an issue with the whole thing. Hata wakikuja hiyo part F. Vulnerable Kenyans will always be there.
Yeah.
Will we wait on corruption money?
Nope.
Reclaimed assets were supposed to be used the process was supposed to be given to someone else who was going to use that whole process in the right manner. when you get it back, shouldn't the whole process be redone? So what they're telling us is a bit. I have an issue with 139 for sure.
This conversation on corruption.
Yeah, 139.
And then the whole of 139, free Kenya from cartel capture. So all these others, the recommendation on banks that are used for money laundering, to punish the facilitators of tax evasion, all that falls under that cartel. That cartel recommendation.
But then again, you're already admitting that there's that problem with cartels. But this whole conversation, cartels.
That's another aspect. That's a whole episode. It's a whole episode. And even as you decide to have that episode, you have to be very careful. Defamation.
Yeah. To select issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna go with facts. We'll definitely look for the facts on the ground. And if we won't be able to mention, we will talk about how people can start tackling this thing and looking for the facts themselves. I mean, you mentioned, look, we had a conversation with Yahweh just a few minutes before we even started. My goodness. I mean, it's just ignorance on our side. There are places where we can actually look and find the problem, but no one goes to look for the problem. The moment the problem happens, we go direct to...
We are quick to point the finger and blame...
the person.
The neighbor's dad.
140 is a bit nice. Let's talk about 140.
Okay.
140 is nice. Use prevention and deterrence by ensuring widespread ethics awareness, rewarding whistleblowing, and assessment of performance. I only have an issue with rewarding whistleblowing, but the rest,
again,
assessment of performance
ethics,
and all that.
We discussed all this during episode 6.
Yeah, we've covered.
So if you didn't listen to episode 6, listen to episode 6. There's 2 of them. There's episode 6A and episode 6B, the bonus episode.
Yeah, just a bonus part where we talk about ethics. And you see the reason as to why we really push for this whole idea. And when we ensure that there's that ethics awareness from a widespread point, everyone should love this country, but even know when something happens, what they should actually do. And people should move from this conversation of loving this country from a national level and even go back to the grassroots and actually know what's happening.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. Where ushaienda public baraza?
Sijaienda public baraza.
Unajua tena kaje?
Maybe I think niliattend ya chief. When I was in primary, tulipelekwa kwa chief.
That was like a school tour.
No, atitwende to recite poem. I think alikuwa I think he had guests and he needed entertainment for the guests. So aliongea na manager wa shule.
What?
We were taken there to recite a poem.
Can you remember the poem?
Yeah, but it was I am tired, mama, something like that.
That's a good one, Maze. I've never been there. I've never even thought about it. But it's so interesting to learn that. But you know what we were told. We even found out that like it's a point where you can impeach someone if they don't hold these things. And people don't even attend and understand what's happening. People don't even go and talk to their MCAs and give them their recommendations for what needs to be done.
But are these MCAs accessible? Is it easy to reach them? How many people know the MCAs? I personally don't even know the name of my MCA. At least huku Nairobi sijui MCA ni nani, sijui MP ni nani.
Mimi najua wangu.
Najua from senator, governor, president.
Kwenda juu.
Even
people have focused
but
a
then
lot.
now again, when I go back now to my home area, now huko Nyanza, that's where I know MCA ni huyu. Not that I even know them. I think it's because I'm, WhatsApp groups and all that.
Like I go home and I think probably this lady is running for a seat in Assembly very soon.
No. Me, I just know easy WhatsApp groups.
But ideally, that's what we're saying. We're just saying this whole idea of ethics and raising awareness shouldn't be just from the national point, because everyone is concentrating on national level.
Yeah.
But they should go back to the grassroots and even to the county level.
And that was the whole purpose of the 2010 Constitution introducing devolution, so that governance is taken to us at the grassroots level.
And that's the whole idea.
Yeah. So incorporate ethics and performance assessment training in every public service course required for promotion or transfer. Raise ethical workers by requiring that educational curricula from the earliest to the most advanced levels should specifically include ethics and civics. I think all this were already proposed on the lack of national that is the first bill of the BBI actually.
I actually like the fact that they're talking about performance assessment to go all the way up to principal secretaries and cabinet secretaries.
Yeah.
That would be really good, because then anytime they go into office and they think now that just because they've passed the appointment stage, they won't be assessed. They can't now relax, because now we'll be always checking up on them.
Yeah.
So like if it's an annual assessment review, we are always there to see, you got into office, what did you do? We have a problem. So those ones I'm really okay with it.
Establishing a whistleblowing mechanism. Rewarding whistleblowing in Akusumbua.
It's protection makes sense, because a whistleblower needs to be protected.
Yeah, with the family.
Yeah,
just
but
like a witness protection program.
Rewarding whistleblowing?
Yeah. It's an incentive,
I won't.
It's an incentive
for you to do it.
So, if I'd like to, whistleblow that Timo is misappropriating some funds for
Timo will establish himself as a whistleblower.
Then...
Look, Timo will establish himself as a whistleblower, but when people will be actually okay and doing things right, Timo will always think about his job and will establish a corrupt thing that can happen so that he can whistleblow about it.
Yeah, that's possible.
I have a problem with the incentive.
So
being patriotic.
So according
about
to
it,
you don't think that they need to implement this incentive recommendation?
Will you snitch on your sister because your dad will give you 5 bob?
Yeah.
Or 500 bob?
Yes.
Is that where you'll be establishing your point? Snitch on your sister because it's affecting the whole house if she does something wrong. It's going to
not because there's a reward for it.
If your sister steals 5,000, you don't snitch on her because you'll get 1,000 out of it. You snitch on her because that 5,000 was meant for the whole house, and because she's stealing it, something won't be done in the house. Not because dad will come and pay you 1,000 for snitching on her.
I see your point, but I still believe that incentive proposal literally works, because as an ordinary Kenyan, if I want to steal from the public, I'll imagine that, even if I have to steal, so and so will notice.
Right.
So and so who's below me, my baby sister, my baby brother, they will notice, and because there's motivation attached to whistleblowing, they'll actually do it. But because there's no incentive to entice them into whistleblowing, I can just tell them, just keep quiet, because you won't get anything
that's
anyway.
The thing. If 5% was the incentive of what has been reclaimed,
5% of the proceeds.
I know it's 5%, so I'll give you 15% ndio nyamaze. Hush money.
6%. Unapewa 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, yes, I get it.
And you'll just use the highest bidder now because you concentrated so much on the incentive.
Rather than on your role or rather on your duty as a patriotic citizen.
Rather than on your love for your country and stopping this plague. You see why I have an issue with the incentive.
Yeah.
If you're going to give me the incentive, give me the whole money so that when I whistleblow, you'll give me the whole money. Because anything you give me, whoever is stealing will give me a higher amount from you. And I'll sell myself to the highest bidder because I concentrated on the incentive. It will stop being about the love of the country.
I see, I get your point. I get it. I get why you are really against
I am so against
rewarding for whistleblowing. But anyway, I'm glad.
Protection?
But protection, that is key. It is need. It is necessary. It is a need.
Especially if I come and just say already I have information, you need to take me to a safe house.
Yeah.
Where I can't be reached. People don't even know. If it calls for me getting new names and
new identities,
let it be. All right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I love this country so much. Not I love this incentive this much.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the issue I have with the incentive part.
Allow me to mention part F of 140 that talks about amending the Defamation Act to deny all public officers a course of action where allegations are made against them in their official capacity regarding matters of ethics and corruption.
So
that works.
Niko na shida mob by the
No, I mean, today we've heard of so many corruption scandals. You hear of KEMSA, and then you're told KEMSA, some companies, these companies are related to a certain politician. Why isn't the name of the politician being called out?
Exactly.
We know about the Aror and Kimwarere, and
Yeah.
of course we know their names attached to that, but then there are other names that are said to be part of the cartel that had, was part of the Aror and Kimwarere scandal. But the names are not mentioned because as a media house you want to protect yourself.
But then,
As an individual, I don't want to be taken to court for defamation against someone who has so much more money than I can even afford to pay as damages.
so what is the problem there?
It is the Defamation Act.
Problem isn't
Has
the
been-
Defamation Act.
Okay, so what's the problem?
If
It
you
is
have,
the...
if you have had evidence, right, you won't come with hearsay. So
No, but the court has to actually admit that this person is guilty via a
Exactly.
judgment.
And you
so
will-
before the court admits the evidence, again, the court processes can be long.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why I keep saying, according to the constitution, one is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. So before somebody is proven guilty, even if you have the evidence that Elsie signed these documents, the courts have not pronounced me as guilty. So if you
Good.
go out there saying that Elsie is corrupt, Elsie did this and did that, you are defaming me.
so that's the thing.
And I have a cause of action against you.
I am not disagreeing with you. The recommendation is the issue here. If we speed up processes when it comes to corruption, then this whole idea of going to file this defamation madness won't be there, sindio? Because the moment una file, I mean, your process ikispeed you up, hata ukihash for 3-4 days, it still comes out, right?
Yeah.
So, is the problem the Defamation Act itself?
No, the problem is not the act itself. It is the I will say the whole process of even
Filing for, I mean, even just
EACC taking its time to investigate, and then of course the DPP has to approve and
the
give
system-
them a go ahead. I mean,
Exactly.
like, let's talk about the Mara heist, the
Yeah.
one that was aired on Citizen
Yeah.
TV. I'm actually naming it because it's something that's in the
it's
public.
out in public, yeah.
Yeah. So the Mara heist, I think it was was it last year? It was early this year with the Waihiga
I think
Mwaura
it was last year.
last year.
I have no clue.
Last year, and it's only yesterday or the day before yesterday that the office of the DPP now gave of course the
A
ACC
go-ahead
investigated a go ahead now to prosecute, and
That's
they
the
were
whole
they were
problem.
brought in for
That's
questioning
the
and
whole-
all that.
It's not the Defamation Act
So
that is the
now,
problem.
if somebody was to go out there, Professor Mary Walingo, defamation.
Even if ukitunyamazisha hata utunyamazishe for a few months, bado itatokea.
Yeah.
Na kenye tulikuwa tunasema itatokea.
Eh,
Then we need to use the channels, because now everybody now believes more about making it public than using the channels themselves. I respect this cabinet secretary when COVID millionaires came out. Like, there are some things that he saw in the ministry that had issues, but he hasn't come out and started speaking about the problems that are in Afya House. Like, you saw even in his press pointing this house here, he decided to use the due process. And we need to trust the due process, but also the due process that is set needs to make sure that it is not working against those who are whistleblowers, but working for them and ensuring that they are doing it right. So the Defamation Act has no issue. Na venye tu watu siku hizi wamependa kukimbia haraka haraka, ukipata tu ka evidence kidogo, hata ujui kama ni right ama wrong, umeshaanza
the age
kutafutana.
of social media.
Biggest problem that we have,
Yeah.
that's the thing I want people to see. And it's just that information, if it's not spread out for people to understand where to go, what to do, and who to look for, that whole idea that they have is just null and void. It's not helping them at all. That whistleblowing that they're trying to do, you hear something from someone, you use hearsay as the truth, is a big problem. Because I can wake up tomorrow, I can defame you and make you sound like you and Obado's kids were working together.
yeah, that's possible.
And next
With
thing
social media.
With social media.
Yeah.
Instead of facts. Next thing you know, arrest LC. Hashtag inatumika kila mali. Nimekusaidiaje? Nimetanish jina yako for my sake. Juu niko na vendetta na wewe. People need to get their information right.
Yeah.
Use the system. Use the due process. The problem now is we should be fighting as Kenyans to make sure that the due process that is set there is working efficiently for our benefit. and not working against us. Yeah. So uto tu ndio tushida niko nato, sida shida kubwa na watu unajua.
141 public officers should not be in business with the government. This one has been said time and time again. Conflict of interest, that you cannot have an interest in a company that is trading with the county government.
It's not even
that's a case we were hearing yesterday.
We took it even a step higher tukasema if you can't use a different public office just because you're not there ati ndio uendelee kufanya business now just because you're working in trade and what's that ministry called where
Ministry of Trade and Infrastructure again.
And then you go to
whatever,
and then you go to the transport and you work together like
you cannot be trading with the government.
Don't trade with the government, period.
You're a state officer,
period. This one is not a new one. This is not a new recommendation. All right.
Yeah. And then it's even written, it goes ahead to the spouse of a public officer shall also not do business with the government, but can engage in the private sector. So what do you mean by engaging in the private sector? Because a company is a private, most of these companies are always private limited companies. Isn't that private sector?
It's already a private sector.
So if a spouse is trading, okay, but there's still a conflict of interest. Assuming my husband is the governor, then me and my company trade with the county government, then but what if I'm trading with another county government, or I'm trading with a ministry?
I wouldn't ideally have a lot of issues if the spouses would work with different places, but they need to show that independence.
Anyway, conflict of interest must always be declared.
Yeah.
It must always be declared.
So that one we can debate constantly. It's not such a new recommendation that they're bringing. It's always been there in public and we're always saying it. Like we've pushed it even further. I don't know which episode we were saying like public officers need to be in that system. If they're in a specific place, they need to use it like their own. Unajua ilikuwa na sound nika tunafanya zile ma promotions za
izo digital marketing, pyramid scheme.
Pali unaambia you must use the product yourself before you recommend it to others. But anyway, 142 is my best.
Wealth declaration forms should be made public.
Should we even be discussing
so that
it?
If Elsie is the governor and you want to know Elsie's wealth, you just go to the website, or you know where you can get the information.
Not just when there's an allegation that may come up and sasa all of a sudden we find out that she's been having 7 homes.
In fact, unaweza pata where you live. The land on which you live in is owned by Elsie.
That's why a clerical officer alikuwa clerical officer NHIF lakini ako na nyumba 5 sijui sio Kimau. Just because sasa wali expose.
Unaweza pata hata ni boss wake alikuwa amerent hiyo nyumba na boss akwa anajua.
Na akwa anajua. So immediately you go into office manze, just wealth declaration a must.
Yeah.
Hiyo hata tusiongee.
But this happens only that they're not made public, but it's a common thing. They're always given time to declare their wealth.
If we're going to do any scrutiny, it has to be made public. I think so. Do we even know if there's a portal where they are actually there we can find out? We don't know.
I don't know.
So that's something also we lack in information. We need to check that out. 143, resignation. Leaders should take political responsibility for negligent or poor quality government actions that lead to disasters by resigning to allow Kenyans to see that a new direction in management is possible.
Resignation. This is interesting. Let me just mention this.
Yes.
I noticed that in other countries, the Western countries, mostly European, US, it's so easy for a leader to resign. Yet anataka si kupenda kwake, but you acknowledge that you have failed. And you don't wait for people to call you out to resign. You actually just... But then when you come to Africa, a president will fail and want to stay in power and want to come back again. A governor will fail at the county level and, fail to... implement some projects na bado akirudi bado mnamweka.
But nyinyi ndio mlisema innocent until proven guilty.
That's controversial.
Sasa si tutadu hata tukiwaambia wa step down investigations zifanywe hawataki. Sasa tutafanya nini? Sure.
Honor. Leaders should take political responsibility for negligent or poor quality government actions that lead to disasters. Talk about COVID-19 millionaires. Tunasikia tu somebody has
Na
been
kuna
fired. But this one,
nini za defamation zishaenda
leaders
kotini.
should take political responsibility because somebody is also responsible for, KEMSA, supervising KEMSA at the executive level. So, what's up?
I don't know how to go about this one. Me, I have no clue. Like, the only person I can tell you that did somewhat something like that the other day was Sakaja. Stepping
Oh,
down
yeah. Sakaja, that was very commendable. I was so proud of him, manzi.
to some extent.
I was, yeah.
Don't you feel like he should have
That is
stepped
the
down
one
as a senator?
That is the one vote I've never
Wait,
regretted.
hold up. Should he have stepped down as a senator or as the one in charge of that committee?
As the one in charge of that committee, because as a senator, he's still doing his best.
He's showing
doing
that
a good job.
We need a new direction in management when it comes to disasters.
I mean, come on, that was such a minor thing, yeah? Just to be found, you are hanging out somewhere after 9 and that's against the curfew regulations. To me, that's... a misdemeanor.
But
so, resigning from the office of a senator is too extreme.
But let's talk about the magnitude that it has when you do that, when you break curfew rules and you indulge in that drinking in an overcrowded place. How many families would have been affected if Sakaja came with the virus?
Many. Starting with his family and the families that interact with his family.
So whatever he was doing might have been prone to someone dying. Why do you think it's a small thing? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Okay, maybe I'm just too much of a fan of Sakaja. So I'd rather not comment.
This thing goes beyond admiration
because
for someone else.
I think if it was someone else, then I'd be saying, yeah, this person should resign.
You see why
as
I'm
a
saying
senator.
this?
But still, I still have to commend him.
Of course, we need to
for,
commend him. But that's halfway
acknowledging that he was wrong and even apologizing in public.
No, if you do...
Because, again, he's human.
Do the crime, serve the time. You're human. If I did the same thing, I would serve time. It would be blown out of proportion. I would probably be somewhere else doing something. But I needed to see for you to see the impact and the magnitude.
Yeah.
And we discussed it even before. A few episodes back, we actually said, just because he was recorded and exposed, that's why he talked and decided. If he wasn't exposed, and that just tells me when it comes to poor quality, when it comes to
poor quality government actions that lead to disasters.
Thank you. That lead to what?
Disasters. That's what the BBI says.
So you stepping down from a committee wasn't the big issue. You leading that committee was not the biggest disaster. The disaster was what would have spread from what you were doing. And if it shows poor management, you actually being in that committee for COVID and chairing it should even have a greater punishment than you just stepping down.
Come on,
Timo. You set it. Okay, sorry. I feel like I'm attacking Sakaja. Let me stop.
Timo.
But I needed you to see the big impact that was there.
Yeah.
All right? Not what he did as a PR stunt. That's a PR stunt. Let's not waste time there. Made you guys feel good about him. Made him sound like he's a good guy.
It's just that he's an honorable guy.
Honorable
he deserves the title Honorable Sakaja. So.
Honorable mpaka sangapi. If the cases would have started from that point and spread in some families.
But we get to see these politicians. Sijuzi tumona sijui kuna birthday somewhere. People are celebrating. People are not taking precautions. Or you hear political meeting somewhere in Kajiado.
And because you think about the politician more than the crime being committed. Right now it looks like something so scary. But you see how people hate Babu. If Babu did the same thing.
Yeah, right now he has to tread very carefully.
You see, everyone would have been... He took a selfie with the president the other day. Do you know how much of backlash the president has gotten because of that? A selfie. If Sakaja took the same selfie, great leaders
wako pamoja.
Transform Kenya. Tuko pamoja. digitization. Make Kenya an 100% e-services nation by digitizing all government services, processes, payment systems, recording, keeping, and ensure they are secured for criminal tampering.
See, that's cool.
It's happening, right?
That's cool. Huduma Center,
Huduma.
whatever, this Huduma services. We
We've
call
seen
them
what
license, driving license, e-citizen.
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 We've seen
You
what
can also pay your
IFMIS
tax,
is doing.
iTax, filing your tax returns. So far,
Making-
so good. The government is trying. Only, I think I should mention, but then that was not digitization. No, that doesn't go to digitization. But I thought the whole purpose of Huduma number was...
Please, tusitaje vitu zingine. Woi, guy.
Aya, twende.
Tuendelee
basi.
Ulishaipata kadi yako?
Sikupata card, but
Move.
I feel like a fool.
Usi tense.
I feel like a fool.
There was a lot going on, but I think the system is actually...
But I
don't know how much
I
it's
thought
been
the whole
tampered on.
purpose of that Huduma number registration was for a digitization system for the government. Something about, is it like the social security number that they have in
the US, maybe in China also. Social security numbers have been worked on several times. I don't know.
It's working in the US.
It is, because it's allowing you to track, but people didn't talk about the tracking process. We can do Huduma number another time. We can cover it all. I just wanted to show that there's a digitization going on right now,
and they're doing
which
a
is
good
growing.
job. So far,
If
so
Miss
good.
is working,
It's commendable.
the problem is people did not know where to go when something wrong happens. Right now, we have learned how to track someone if some tender goes wrong and we see that there's a problem.
Oh yeah,
We've
thank God for
uncovered,
digitization.
We've seen digitization, but we've also learned
to
that
get information.
exactly.
Information about public barazas, public participation,
Uh,
digitization of the
just had a
government.
conversation with Yahweh, showed us that no one is going for the procurement officer who was accepting all these things to happen. That signature being electronic, who is accepting it to go through, and that trail, when it comes to you, you don't even want to know where the money came from. You just need the money. And we see how it like, he showed us the due process and how it's destroying people, like up to the point where the conversation from where watu wa ushago akikuitisha pesa we mtu wa Nairobi, kumbe ni sisi tumeharibu hiyo process yao hata kukuwa na pesa.
Yeah.
And we'll have to tackle that on its own when it comes to corruption. Hopefully we'll get Yahweh on the show.
One day.
One day. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how long we have. This one was a tough one. We were supposed to go into
But
it.
we've tried. We only have two more recommendations to
Two more
tackle.
recommendations, right?
145 and 146.
Okay, let's try cover 145 and 146.
145.
Go ahead. Soma 145.
Cut down on wastage and moral jeopardy of government-owned entities being careless managers in expectation of government bailouts. Umelewa hiyo English
Mi
yote?
hiyo kizungu ilikuwa mingi. Wadhani kwa nini hata nimeirusha nikakwambia soma 145.
Cut down on wastage and moral jeopardy of government-owned entities being careless managers in expectation of government bailouts. Oh yes. Okay, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe the way I understand it, cut down on wastage and moral jeopardy. Government-owned entity. What is a government-owned entity? Is it the parastatals? The state,
I think
the
it's-
state.
yeah.
So Kengen, KPLC,
Yeah.
KPC, yeah, those are government-owned entities.
I think so.
And normally, sometimes they have their scandals, and normally the government comes through
Sometimes.
for them to. Yeah, sometimes they have their scandals. So you'll find the government comes through for them. So this is what they're talking about.
Yeah, it is. Because
By-
he's covering it in the pillars also, like
Yeah.
telling us to streamline them.
Careless managers in expectation of government bailouts.
Just because of
So the
COVID, we were able to learn like KPLC would suffer because if industries shut down, and we get to learn kumbe pesa yao yote wamekuwa wakipata kutoka industries. Like there hasn't been a streamlined
KEMSA is a
structure.
government-owned entity.
I think
is
so,
it?
yeah, should be.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so right now it's got a scandal.
Tunaona ile shida
Tunaona.
wanapitia.
So
And the list is endless when it comes to parastatals. If we talk about them, all of them,
fine, I get it. So that's what this recommendation is all about. So it says strengthening the capacity of the controller of budget to be able to detect and respond in a timely manner to misappropriation, wastage, and illegal processes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, even in terms of government-owned entities, like their bills and their expenditures being brought under control with benchmarks, I don't know how to go about that one. That one, I think someone would probably come and explain to us what really happens when it comes to these parastatals and government-owned entities, and what they tackle and how they go about them, the due process. But I agree there's a place where it needs to be streamlined and maybe put on a platform where we can actually see what happens, be able to dictate to us, so that we are not the one who is bailing them out 24/7. Look what is happening with Kenya Airways 24/7. It's trying to go under a bailout.
Is Kenya Airways one of the government-owned entities?
Should be they were the
I
majority
know the
shareholder.
government. Okay, now I see.
It's your taxpayers' money that has been bailing out these people. The other day ndio hata wajaribu kutake up Kenya Airports Authority and run some things.
Mumias.
Oh my goodness, let's not even go there.
This paper, there was a paper industry in Webuye.
Pan paper.
Exact. So this is what we mean, yeah?
Yeah.
And normally the government comes through trying to save them.
Government careless money. It's our taxpayers' money that is always bailing out these people, trying to revive it.
Government na manage your pesa. The treasury.
Tunavyokuwa tumeweka rada sana.
So, now, fortunately or unfortunately, they won't come to you, Timo, the ordinary Kenyan, and ask you, hey, do you think we should save this institution that was mismanaged by so and so, who's now actually...
But we have a space for where we can do that whole oversight and participation and make sure that... I don't know how to go about this one. This one is those conversations. We will definitely call someone who's more versed on this and explain to us when it comes to government-owned entities.
I think there's a show that you're doing.
Wait. Stop leaking stuff that you're not supposed to. We will tackle that when that time comes.
Oops, I'm sorry. Next, it says, as His Excellency the President directed in November 2015, streamline parastatals through a renewed focus on core business and cutting down on wastage by enacting the Parastatals Reform Bill and not building up the moral jeopardy of some depending on infusions of public resources to stay in business. I think that's exactly what you say.
Yeah. All right, let's go to 146 so that we can sum up this corruption. At least we have tumejieka kwa Kenya BBI inasema. Hii ni ile siku tungeenda off.
Then increase public confidence in the judiciary. Now that's a whole different story, yeah? Corruption in the judiciary. Yes, it's a fact that currently the Kenya we have now, the people have lost trust in the judiciary.
When you're advocate, tutakukaranga tu sai.
Mimi bado sijakuwa advocate, but yes, once I become an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, I am actually an officer of the court, an officer of the judiciary. So, yeah.
So you do agree there's a big...
Yeah, there's a problem, but it's not as much as it was back during the Nyayo era and partly during the pre-2010 era, because then the independence of the judiciary was not guaranteed.
Right.
Still, with the 2010 constitution, we've still heard of cases whereby judges are paid to
work
rule
with
matters.
us, so we will slow down and frustrate your process.
Yeah, I saw some on Twitter. There was a post about cartels in the judiciary. That one actually named the cartels, but that's again like a rumor. So
no hard facts.
Yeah,
on the ground. So
so increasing public confidence in the judiciary, in recognizing that the core constitutional principles in Kenya are the separation of powers between arms of government and accountability to the people of Kenya. The independence of the judiciary must be protected as a fundamental principle, but it should also be accountable to the people of Kenya. Right. So our 2010 constitution under Article 160 has so far so good done an amazing job in safeguarding and protecting the independence of the judiciary. So if you're to read Article 160, you'll be impressed. You'll understand why let me just even say it as it is. Back in 2017, the Supreme Court nullified elections, but even as we speak right now, as much as there were threats of revisiting, we still have the CJ still
in
being the
office.
CJ and the DCJ still being the DCJ and all that.
Exactly.
You understand?
Yeah.
And even when the DCJ was to be prosecuted, the court had to be, can we really prosecute the DCJ at this stage? A lot had to be investigated. It was quite controversial, but point is, the 2010 Constitution has so far so good and a good job in safeguarding the independence of the judiciary.
So far so good.
But why is it that people still don't trust the judiciary? Why is it that people still don't believe that the judiciary is the best place to address their disputes? Why?
We're living in a system where from kitambo tulishaoneshwa
It could be when I did my
It's for the
judicial
rich.
attachment,
Yeah.
I learned that there are times when even the court of the court officers, should I call them the court officers, the judiciary officers? Apparently, sometimes even files go missing, and just to frustrate the whole process of an ordinary Kenyan seeking justice.
Look,
And
the common one in the streets every time, judgment passed to a rich person and judgment passed to a poor person. You can see the difference, and that's where some trust
So that's
issues
why
are never there.
there's no the confidence is still not there, despite
None
the
whatsoever.
2010 Constitution
Even
having
if
done
the
a
one
great
at the
job.
top is clean as the two have been, like don't have like a lot of issues, like there's always trying to push and make sure the government is supporting them, we still don't trust them.
So under recommendation A, create the position of special magistrates and judges to deal with the most grievous cases of drug trafficking, corruption, terrorism, and other serious criminal offenses, and make special security arrangements for those magistrates and judges to be provided for by the state. So far so good. I noticed judges,
I don't know if they're special magistrates right now. Are there?
the only special magistrates I know are the ones who are normally appointed during the time of elections to deal with electoral disputes at MCA level. Because these are also zifike.
But I felt like any judge who usually
but judges have their security.
Especially ones
they're
who
very
have
private
to work with criminal procedures. Like they're always
those ones are
safety and
safe,
protection.
but I'm not sure about the magistrates. Judges I know, but
Judges, we are
magistrates,
sure. Magistrates hata mi hapo
sijai
siko
on
sure.
anything like wood. In fact, I don't know, I may be wrong even
Yeah.
as I say this, but I think magistrates even drive themselves to work. I think they do.
JSC is being told here in part B that they can legally deal with disciplinary offenses.
To discipline judges should be expanded so that the constitution can legally deal with lesser
disciplinary
offenses that affect the value of justice. I mean, it's a fact that judges are accountable to JSC. JSC is actually the employer of the judges. And when we talk about judges, remember there's a difference between judges and magistrates. Magistrates manage the lower courts.
Yes.
And then the judges, the superior courts. That is the High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court.
So JSC, you agree, should be given more mandate to deal with these people? If it's taken closer home, they'll be able to fight them and tackle them. It won't be now worse. Like they won't get away with things. Do you believe so? This one is your time to shine, Manze. You can't be looking at me for answers. This is where I was coming to be informed.
JSC. JSC itself, I don't speak against it.
Okay, to end the part C.
Job.
Let's strengthen the... Oh, is that what you're doing here? Wow. Because you will be scrutinized. Okay.
It's that serious.
To the boss who will scrutinize my co-hosts in the near future. You can't hold this against her. She was about to inform me on some things, but at the expense of her. I'm not even going to speak anymore. I might just end up tarnishing her credentials when she gets there. All right. Strengthen the process of responding to complaints in the judiciary. Office of the Judiciary Ombudsman. Hiyo kitu utaniambia na maanisha nini? To be accessible and responsive to the public. Speed up the system. We are going to tackle that when it comes to stuff to do with corruption in itself. We have found out that the process can be speeded up. It's apparently us who have been slowing it down. Yeah.
But are you aware that today the judiciary, CJ Maraga, was launching an alternative justice system? There was a ceremony to that effect.
I had no idea.
I've not really gone through it.
We're gonna check it out. It's just that we're in studio, but we're going
we
home
can
to
check
research.
it out. But
Yeah.
itakuwa kwa news. I'm sure it will be in the news. But
Alright.
yeah, so far so good.
All right. Advertise to Kenyans that they have a choice to take their complaints about members of the judiciary to the judiciary or the Commission on Administrative.
Are you aware?
I wasn't aware.
Do you know about the office of the ombudsman?
No.
Do you even know who was the first ombudsman?
Hiyo
Guess
jina
who?
inamaanisha nini? Tuanzie hapo.
No, this is an office. It's something we've borrowed from the
West.
Yeah, the West.
Accept.
I mean, yeah. See, we inherited our
Because
legal system from England.
Hata si Kenyans hatujui
So
hiyo
now,
jina inamaanisha
even
nini.
us, we can hold the judges accountable
For any
for wrongs that
when it
you
comes
feel.
to wrongs, does it come to everything that they do or only on judgments and certain cases?
No, whereby you feel like an administrative procedure was
not rightfully done.
The due process was not followed.
Okay.
But then you put up like a judge to another judge, and you won't
It's not
take a
happening.
judge to the police.
They drink together.
No. So that's why we have the commission.
Watch yourself. You might just lose your job before you even get it.
Yeah. So that's why we have the office of the ombudsman. That is the Commission on Administrative Justice. Now, do you even know wapali wako Westlands?
Wapi?
Some tall buildings, some tall magnificent
I won't lie to you. The places I know in Westlands, God needs to forgive me.
Yeah. There's a tall, magnificent building. I don't even know sani could describe it, but
the one that looks like a bullet.
Yeah, I don't even know who the current ombudsman is.
Who was the first one? You were just about to tell me who the first one was.
Who's the first one? The Honorable Otiende Amolo, Senior Counsel.
Okay, Senior Counsel.
Senior Counsel.
Otiende
he was
Amolo.
the first ombudsman, then he resigned when he was vying for office.
We need to have a different episode where you really need to break down. I don't know how many episodes it's going to take, but you need to inform Kenyans on what the judicial system can do for them from grassroots. Like when they're taken to that magistrate and they have to defend themselves. How do they go about things? Because a lot of people feel the courts are for the rich.
Yeah. That is what we mean by people have no confidence in the judiciary, because it is believed to be a system that actually serves the interests of the rich man as against
exactly.
the poor man.
I feel like it's just a lack of knowledge on what the courts need to do for us. Not really can do for us, but needs to do for us. From that process, when you start any procedure with them, even to when you have to look for that, unajua ile ka signature kila mtu huenda kutafuta sijui kutoka advocate yoyote ya kupigia stamp, you know, all those things we need to follow through and help Kenyans understand. Because if we now tackle anything to do with the judicial system, naona venye kwanza kuna zingine una avoid vizuri strategically. Naenda kuresearch nijue any position gani una target in the near future.
You know.
But yes, we need to increase generally the public confidence in the judiciary. And it's as simple as just making sure people understand that the judiciary is not just for certain group of elites. It's for everyone.
It is there to serve everyone. In fact, as I had emphasized during the third episode about the sovereignty that is guaranteed by Article 1.1, Article 1.2 tells us that this sovereignty, we have given it to the judiciary. It is in power because we have given it the power. So
146 Part D shouldn't be advertised to Kenyans. It's educate Kenyans. Because just
wording
advertise is as simple as just making a 5-minute ad.
No, educate them about the office of the ombudsman and its role in serving their interests as Kenyans.
Exactly. Advertising is one of the worst.
Recommendation.
You advertising on a report. You're telling us we go and advertise and feel like advertising will work when people don't know.
Not advertising,
educate. Part D, scrap off advertise, educate. Ladies and gentlemen, how many pillars have we done? All of them now.
I believe it's all of them.
Are you confident in this report?
No, I am not really.
I am grateful.
Because you cannot tell me that you will wait to get in power to do something that you can already do with the little power that you already have.
Mr. President, you have 2 years left on your term. And you're trying to convince us that stuff that you were supposed to do in the process of 10 years, you really focused on projects that has left us with debts bigger than we can believe. And then you convince us in a process of 2 years you're going to leave the right structure for us to thrive. You should have done it in the first 10 years that you were here. First 10 years? In the 10 years that you are going to serve us.
Mm-hmm.
This report is just a political thing. Recommendations need to be done. There are places that need to be amended. There are places that we need to work on that were not even there.
Yeah, there are things that should be added.
But this report is not what we should be looking for. That's my opinion. And I know it might not sit well with a lot of guys because I am looking like I am choosing a political side, a political divide. But I have gone through the whole process, broken it down for 8 episodes, making sure everyone understands this thing before they even decide to choose whether or not they want it or they don't. That's what I feel about the whole process. This series has been amazing for me, just going through the whole pillar, all the pillars and the report in itself. But I know where my vote will be because I don't see any change happening once this thing is passed. If they can go back to the drawing board and come back with something different and we do it again, I can think about it, but not this. That's my take. Elsie?
Mine will be, again, going back to what I mentioned during the third episode. Is this report really what we, the Kenyans, want, or what they are trying to shove down our throats? That's the first question we should think about as Kenyans before we even decide that we want to pass this thing. Do we really want it? If so, well and good. 2, is there a guarantee that every recommendation that is passed here will actually now be reduced into the law, or will it just remain in the report and only a few parts of the report will be now added to the constitution as amendments? And it's a good thing that we're having this conversation today when the constitution has turned 10 years old, because there's still parts of the constitution that are yet to come to life. The one that really, really breaks my heart, other than the ones I had mentioned, Article 10, Article 43, of course, Article 10, I really emphasized on the rule of law, because now the rule of law is just becoming a story. Human rights, Chapter 4. Now, the one that really breaks my heart is Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And again, Chapter 6 has a lot to do with corruption, because it actually tells us, this is how state officers should conduct themselves. And if they fall short of this, they can be removed from office. They can be subjected to a disciplinary procedure. We are not seeing it. Chapter 6 is a dead chapter of the Constitution. So now we still have some articles and some chapters that are dead in this Constitution. So do we need to amend this constitution via the report? That's notwithstanding, I have to commend the task force. They did a really good job in consulting the Kenyans and getting, to highlight some of the many issues that we face as Kenyans. And they've made very sound and very reasonable recommendations. But again, is there a guarantee that these recommendations will be reduced into the law? Yeah?
Clearly.
Yeah.
Watu wangu, it's been an amazing one. The way I said that, watu wangu, just sounded funny. But I hope you enjoyed. If you don't take time to read the report, this is probably what best we could give in terms of a breakdown of what it is and just working on it and ensuring that you guys got to know what they are talking about. We look forward to the next episodes that are to come. But at the end of the day, be informed.
Be informed.
Be informed.
Be intentional about being informed. Don't be ignorant. Please, they can take advantage. I think we've mentioned that they can use information to, take advantage of your ignorant mind. And they fight that psychological war better because they know where you don't know. Yeah. So this BBI is accessible. You just go to the website. Just go to Google BBI report. You'll see BBI
Top
report.
Search. like you won't even
utaipata
struggle.
hapo, so it's not a struggle to get this report. So usingoje ati mtu akuja kulete document ati BBI report anza kusoma. No.
Yeah, engage us on all platforms. Ask us some questions that we need to follow up. Maybe we need to do a Q&A with you guys on the report, places you felt like we didn't tackle. We'll be more than glad to tackle it and make sure that it's part of the series. But we have been having an awesome time breaking this report. And yeah, it's been a pleasure.
It's been amazing.
So we'll see you next time. You know, I don't know how to finish off these things. I need to find a cool way to finish off stuff, manze. You know, with quotes and everything. But see you guys. It's been an amazing time.
Bye.